Alright boys, so we have Okita Souji, the strongest manslayer in human history and leader of the Shinsugumi's 1st Division. He is a sword-wielding beast who, out of all the fighters in the series thus far, has a lot of information revealed and fights to break down. This includes laying everything out he's done before his reveal as the Round 10 Humanity Fighter, and Okita's showings in the manga known as Requiem of the Shinsugumi, a series that concluded this year at 150 chapters, that was created by one of the Ragnarok authors before Ragnarok actually begun, focusing on the Shinsugumis, which includes the same Okita Souji as a main character throughout. Not the protagonist, but a main character, giving us various points to gauge how strong he is and fighting abilities of this small boy. Additionally, we have to go over the greatness of his opponent. For the god Susanoo, that already has some important information and connections to make to his mythology, concluding today's video with a breakdown of how the fight will actually go, at least in my opinion. Okita was revealed for the first time in chapter 30, right after Jack defeated Hercules in round 4. We see him talking to fellow Shinsugumi Izami, who's pretty much the boss or overall leader of the Shinsugumi. Not the strongest, just a father figure to some, with them discussing the great strength of the fighters in Ragnarok so far, and how it's a great honour to fight in this tournament, revealing that he is beyond excited for his turn to fight. Unfortunately, my man had to wait 5 more rounds. The next time we see him is a few chapters later in the middle of the Shiva and Raiden fight, the scene between Buddha, Loki and the Lucky Gods, chapter 33 for reference. In this scene, we see their first interaction with Sasaki, who they respect and are shown excited by so many gods being around, wanting to have some fun, with one of the Lucky Gods even claiming that Okita has never lost a fight in his life, which technically isn't true, as I'll go over later. After seeing a glimpse of Loki's personality, he regarded him as one of the bad gods, getting ready to cut him down right away, with Loki proceeding to reveal his weapon and begin charging Okita and the others. Then, in the manga version, Zeus and Odin stop the exchange before anything else can happen. However, the anime's adaptation of this scene actually expanded on the Loki and Okita exchange. For example, we see Buddha and Sasaki dodge Loki, while Okita and Izami deflect his attacks, followed by Okita charging Loki, and I guess catching him off guard to a degree based on his facial expression, and Sasaki doing the following whistle, continued with some shit talking between them, and both beginning to charge at one another. Then we have Zeus and Odin come in. After that whole situation, Okita is shown disappointed that he couldn't continue fighting, but is still interested in watching the current match, with Sasaki now joining them for the remainder of the fights. So pretty much this whole exchange demonstrates Okita being relative to Loki. Unfortunately, we have no idea how strong Loki is, therefore it doesn't really mean much at all in the context of the story so far. Maybe in the future, if Loki is revealed as, I guess, the strongest god in the series, this would be quite insane. From there, we have various reactions of him watching the later rounds. For example, celebrating Buddha defeating Hajun, him praising the strength of Huang and Hades, desiring to fight them both, being correct about the Chinese Emperor's ability to continue fighting in that fight, while Izami was actually wrong. I guess that's why he isn't fighting, but he was also stunned by the final moments of the fight when Huang defeated Hades in the way he did. As a whole, round 7 was the fight Okita talked the most in, being impressed and I guess interested in this level of power, while Beelzebub vs Tesla was pretty much him being stunned the entire fight. To such a degree, it's most likely the case he won't be on this tier of power, but of course, we'll see. For round 9, he was more so jealous of the way Leonidas died, fighting until his heart was satisfied, which means it's time to go over the Requiem of the Shinsugumi manga. Unfortunately, we don't have all 150 chapters translated in English, only the first 15 or so, but I was able to gather the main points to discuss Okita in today's video. Do take note that the stuff revealed in this manga may not exactly correlate to the Okita in Record of Ragnarok, even though it's the same character design wise, same authors etc. They may change a few things or I guess add more per se. If you want to suggest video topics and get various other benefits, consider becoming a member. So the main point about Okita being jealous is pretty much connected to how he died from illness while fairly young, not in battle as the ideal samurai death, and pretty much what him and everyone else wanted, meaning it's possible he has never been given the chance to go all out, at least until now in Ragnarok without his illness and I guess fear of death nerfs to a degree. On top of that, Okita is regarded as the strongest in the Shinsengumi and claps the protagonist on many occasions. Some argue against the strongest claim due to of course stuff like this, but I'd imagine when it comes to potential, he's definitely at number 1. Throughout the fights we get to see, it's clear that speed is a major aspect of Okita, with him being known as the user of God Speed 3-stage thrust and a genius swordsman, while even at a young age he has a dark and unhinged side where he can pretty much kill anyone with ease. Technically the claim of never facing defeat that I talked about before is incorrect, as early in the manga he makes this claim after losing to someone, but we don't technically see him lose again from what I saw. So as a whole, he has speed, wild animalistic like traits, and a fighting style focused on of course superior swordsmanship. But I would like to emphasize my man does go kinda crazy sometimes. I think it's likely the case that he'll be a fighter that's stronger after death due to the removal of his illness and desire to go all out in a fight, which he's definitely going to do and is going to make this fight quite exciting. Bringing us to his opponent Susanoo. This time it was a god who wants to fight a particular human. This is because Hermes told him who Brunhilde chose as the round 10 fighter, and right away made his appearance after doing nothing for 80 plus chapters, cucked the already chosen fighter Anubis, and revealed that Kendo was the creation of Susanoo, and that he's the strongest god slayer of the heavens. Wielding this large sword in this wrapping, can't wait for that to be revealed. So the question is, who is Susanoo in mythology? Pretty much a Japanese god of many things, namely the seas, storms and fields as the main ones, depicted with his sword most of the time and regarded as the younger brother of another Japanese god or goddess, Amaterasu, the one many consider to be the strongest in Japanese mythology, with Susanoo mainly being known as the one to take out the 8-headed serpent known as Orochi. Thus, the clashing of swordsmen and Japanese fighters is the basis of round 10. A common point made for this fight already is that Okita will win because the author's bias and the current setup of round 10, with humanity losing by 1 point. However, considering manga was created for one thing, a Japanese audience, which if you think about it this way, the main god representing the Japanese losing is quite questionable. As a result, it's kinda making it a toss-up for me. Okita being tiny compared to Susanoo is already very clear, so perhaps a battle of speed versus strength will be the focus. I do honestly predict both breaking into the higher tiers of the power ranking. Susanoo is set up as I'd say a good god, but more so focused on the thrill of battle and wanting to test his abilities, which I think he's going to get when facing Okita. It'll probably be the case of Okita being viewed as the underdog throughout, until of course he enters his crazy murderous intent like mode, where he goes pretty insane and will probably amp himself to a high degree. However, I do imagine the fight starting out quite intense, with Okita giving it his all right away, but not really in his insanity killer intent mode, as he tends to get to when the fight prolongs a little longer. I'm expecting a lot of great things from Susanoo as an absolute beast when it comes to his design and the aura already, so an exciting match. Let me know down below who you think's going to win. As I mentioned in my previous video going over the future fights, I do think round 10 will be a draw. However, I would prefer Susanoo to win this, but for the sake of the future of the story, I'm gonna say a draw. I guess I'm staying as an Okita hater. Can't wait for more, stay tuned, subscribe, shout out to the Mad Lads, peace.